It was late in the day, and Professor Silvestri woke up in the back of Dr. Larkspar's car. It was too cold to sleep at night. He opened the door and got out so he could stretch. Paperweight flickered to life and followed him. That was rough. "What are we gonna do now?" asked Paperweight, hoping he could do something. "If you officially resided at the school, you would be eligible to stay at a hotel funded by the school," Paperweight scolded. Professor Silvestri yawned again. "I don't have money for that, I'm always busted," he said, going through his coat pockets. There was a roar and the sound of a steadily rolling steel track. Professor Silvestri jogged down the parking lot to see an excavator climbing over a hill toward the school. He ran to the other side of the school to see where it was headed and saw Dr. Larkspar with a construction helmet on and a clipboard ordering workers. She noticed him and didn't look pleased. Professor Silvestri was all out of breath when he got to her. "What are you doing?" he asked between breaths. Dr. Larkspar showed him the clipboard. "These are the plans for new dorms," she said proudly. Professor Silvestri was confused. "What? Why?" he asked, still having more questions. The clipboard showed detailed plans for a girls' and boys' dorm labeled Amindamo. Dr. Larkspar really hoped Professor Silvestri would be impressed. "It's for influenza." He took off into the courtyard with a number of companions and students. "We can just let it happen, they aren't hurting anyone," she explained. Professor Silvestri took the clipboard and read the name again. Amindamo. It was a special word. "He's not coming back because of this," he said, throwing the clipboard away. "This is stupid." He pointed at the area where markers were placed. "Do you even understand him? The one way in which he isn't broken, and you don't get it." Professor Silvestri stamped his feet. He was rambling. Dr. Larkspar hated when he said that. "He's not broken," she said, pushing Professor Silvestri. One of the construction workers came over to see what was happening. "Is everything okay, doctor?" he asked, looking at Professor Silvestri. Dr. Larkspar shook her head. "No." "Get rid of him," she said coldly. Professor Silvestri looked sheepish and started to walk away across the field, with his companion catching up to him. Tachita floated to Dr. Larkspar. She had finished marking pieces of wood with her laser. "Who was that with Professor Silvestri?" she asked. Dr. Larkspar thought hard about it. "I don't know," she said, eyeing the companion hard now. Tachita flickered. "Kind of looks like Paperweight to me," she said, almost sure. "No, Paperweight is in the office." "Isn't he?" Dr. Larkspar asked, thinking back. The digging outside Emily's dorm didn't stop until the sun went down. She was thankful that all the workers left. She had been getting annoyed with Dr. Larkspar bossing around workers right outside her window. She was laying on the bed with Kriya, considering just falling asleep, when her roommate entered with a group of friends and her companion, making Emily sit up. Tonalli was kind and liked inviting people over. She often wore long-sleeve clothes to look like a wizard. That's what Emily thought anyway. Tonalli and her friends stood around, not knowing if they should make themselves comfortable yet. "Hi, Emily. I brought Jessica and Sasha with me. Can we hang out in here? I want to show them my tarot cards," she said, hoping Emily wouldn't have a problem. Emily welcomed the distraction and put Kriya on her lap. "Okay, can I play too?" she asked, not really knowing what they were doing. Tonalli invited her new friends to sit on her bed while she sat on the floor, shuffling cards she pulled from a very fancy jeweled pouch. "Yes, these are tarot cards for predicting the future and asking questions," Tonalli said, splitting the deck into 3 parts. Emily pulled herself forward to see better. "They are cards. They don't predict the future, but I do want to play anyway," she said. Tonalli wrapped a purple bandana around her head and waved her hands over the cards. "Who will ask first?" she asked, trying to be mysterious. "Who's Sasha's boyfriend?" Jessica said quickly, and Tonalli drew a card from the pile closest to her. Tonalli nodded. "I will draw cards and explain them. Let me know when you see him," she said, beginning the game and turning over cards, looking at them and explaining each one while waiting for a reaction. "The architect." "Oh, a builder." She paused and turned over the next one. "Bird of fish. He flies together with a big flock." Summer rain represents passion in both directions. Tonalli stopped as Jessica started giggling. "Who is it?" she asked. Sasha shook her head. No, I'm not going to say, she said, hiding her face. Okay, let's move on then. Don't push her. Who's Emily's boyfriend? Tonalli asked quickly and drew a card. Emily smirked. That's not nice, she said, looking at the card in Tonalli's hand. She couldn't help being curious. Which one is it? She asked, ready to regret the answer. Tonalli put the card down. Dog of dogs, loyal, strong, and a little bit foolish, she said, smiling. Emily stared at the card, thinking about Jason. He's not my boyfriend, she said plainly, and they all laughed. When things got quiet again, Emily had a real question. Who's Sanjo's girlfriend? She asked. Tonalli had heard lots of rumors about Sanjo. She was excited and began to draw. Cat of dogs, like a fox, clever and playful. Winter sun, warm when it's cold. And the warrior, so strong and determined. Emily shook her head. It kind of sounds like Cassie, but she's not the warrior at all, she said. Tonalli waved her hands. Maybe another you haven't seen yet, she said, ready to continue. It was a fun night for them, and Emily kept laughing at the thought of Jason being the dog of dogs. There was a sadness in the school when the morning came. So many companions and students were missing. This was the second morning of hushed whispers and students exchanging glances. Something more was going on. Jason, however, strode to his first class. He smiled and talked with Nova about laser tag, pretending to shoot at students he was seeing every day. He was on his way to Ms. Sable's class first. He nearly bumped into Big Cody, who was standing in the middle of the hallway. Jason had to step around him, and when he did, he noticed Big Cody looking down, expressionless. Nova floated close. Don't you remember? Inambro has left too. He's alone, she whispered, a realization Jason wasn't going to consider. He was going to go to class. Because of Nova, he had noticed Big Cody, and he would feel bad walking away now. Big Cody? Jason asked, getting his attention gently. Big Cody furrowed his brow, confused. I don't remember you, he said impolitely. Big Cody didn't know how to be polite or express that he was confused. Jason slapped his arm despite the danger. Well, I certainly remember you. You're a pretty strong guy around here, Jason said, nodding. Big Cody didn't seem to respond well at first, but his expression softened. Okay, he agreed, not knowing what to say. He was sad, alone, and confused. He didn't know what Jason could possibly want. What class are you going to? Jason asked, smiling, trying to brighten up his own day through Cody. I don't know, Big Cody said, looking away. Jason shrugged. Maybe you should just take Nova until lunch and bring her back to me at lunch, Jason suggested, trying to make eye contact with Big Cody. I don't know, he said to Jason, this time looking at him. Jason presented Nova to his former bully. Please take Nova until lunch. She can help you and show you where to go, he advertised. Nova bounced up and down. That sounds fun, Jason. Cody has lots of classes I've never seen yet, she said, trying to get Cody to notice her. Jason started to realize that Cody probably wouldn't decide anything on his own. Okay, Nova, show Big Cody to class. He's very important around here, he ordered, and Nova floated to Cody's shoulder. What do I do? He asked Nova. Let's go to the office and get your schedule so we know where to go, Nova suggested, and Big Cody lit up. I know where that is, he said, excited to finally get moving. Jason watched the two walk off together. He wondered if Cody would bully anyone with Nova. Secretly, he hoped Nova would learn this from Cody. Ms. Sable's class started at the bell. She counted students instead of taking attendance. Her companion was missing, but she had prepared her lesson on the board ahead of time. Jason had sat next to Sanjo right away. He hadn't seen him in the cafeteria for breakfast. He was going to start chatting, but Ms. Sable stood up and started her lecture. We always talk about money, and I try to reinforce how it only works because we all agree on it. Almost like a conversation. Sometimes we can express $1 in a lot of different ways. Like this, a coin, she said, holding out a single large silver coin. I hate these so much. They are huge compared to 4 quarters, and they weigh twice as much. So, I carry this with me. She held out a clutch and placed the coin inside. Soon my coin purse will be filled with these, and they will dominate my wallet. She shook the coin purse and put it on her desk. "So, who wants a free dollar?" she asked, waiting for hands to raise. Sanjo raised his hand. Miss Sable picked up a separate leather bag and dumped it on Sanjo's desk. "This is the same dollar expressed differently," Miss Sable said, waiting for Sanjo's response. "It's hard to spend a bunch of these," Sanjo complained while preventing some from falling off his desk. Orion floated over them. "There are 99 coins in this pile," he said politely. Miss Sable didn't look happy when he said that. "Yeah, well, I did my own lesson planning. Not everything is perfect," she said, turning to leave Sanjo with his pile of pennies to figure out what to do with them. Jason spoke without raising his hand. "That's another thing too, Miss Sable. Nobody really wants to count 100 coins," he said, being an observant student. Miss Sable turned to him. "That's right, Jason. Like I said, money is a conversation and we can say the same things in a lot of ways," she said, happy he was getting the concept. "Can I buy the pouch the coins came in for, Sanjo?" Jason asked, seeing Sanjo piling coins in stacks on his desk. Miss Sable incorporated this into her lesson. "I think this pouch is worth $2 and I'm down $1, she said, implying that she wanted $3. Jason put his hands in his pocket and shuffled around. "I'll give you $2.50. "You are never going to spend all those coins," he offered, holding out exactly $2.50. Miss Sable agreed and gave him the leather pouch. "I want everyone to note this exchange in their reports. What is Sanjo having this worth to Jason? Was one of us being unfair? Does the act of exchanging money make it fair?" She asked this series of questions while students were getting ready to write reports while the event was fresh in their minds. At lunch, Jason came down the stairs to find students crowding the cafeteria as usual and Big Cody waiting by the door with Nova. Jason smiled, seeing Nova talking to Cody. They were chatting a lot. "Hey guys, is Nova ready to come back?" Jason asked, breaking their conversation. Cody looked at Nova for guidance. "Yes, Jason. I'm ready to return. I got Cody set up for the rest of the day." "Show him, Cody," Nova said excitedly, bouncing in the air. Cody showed Jason his binder, which had a multicolored circle on the front with the word in Nombro written above it. "Nova helped me make a companion book," Cody said proudly. Jason smiled, seeing that Cody had made a personal organizer. He took the binder and flipped through a few pages. Cody had written a lot. One of the pages listed the people Cody thought were strong and even had ratings in stars. Jason was near the bottom of the list, but had 3 stars. "What's this?" "I'm 3 stars," Jason said, and Cody blushed, taking his binder back. "Yeah, you almost hit me really good once. I wouldn't forget that," Big Cody said, and opened the book again to show Jason others. "Look, your friend Sanjo is 4 stars, Cody pointed out, hoping Jason would be interested. "Did you bully Sanjo?" Jason asked, looking at Nova, who was bouncing up and down. "I took his lunch money. He could have wrestled me down, but I just held him up like a little kid," Cody said proudly. Jason wasn't laughing. "People are always bumping into Big Cody. He doesn't like it," Nova said. "And if he doesn't do something about it, people keep bumping into him. Everyone is in Cody's space. That's what we think anyway," she added, feeling sympathy for her new student. Jason saw Sanjo in the cafeteria, already talking with Cassie, but he clearly didn't have a lunch. "Could you give Sanjo his lunch money back?" Jason asked. Cody went through his pockets and pulled out a pile of change. He stammered, clearly ready to comply. "It's okay, Cody. Let's both get Sanjo a lunch," Jason said. Jason and Big Cody went into the cafeteria, and Cody did buy Sanjo lunch. He also bought a few other students he bullied regularly lunch. Professor Silvestri had a rough day again. His only assets right now were the coat hanger he used to break into Dr. Larkspar's car and paperweight. Professor Silvestri had been wandering around the school grounds, trying not to be seen. He had nowhere to go. Paperweight had been in the school and was reporting information to Professor Silvestri. "There is an exhibition game against Equinox Academy soon," Paperweight said, excited to report the information. Professor Silvestri perked up. Good. This is a place we want to go," he exclaimed, sitting on the hood of the car. "The team we are sending are the Ravens. Paperweight said, knowing this would be meaningful. Professor Silvestri scratched his chin. This is okay. Jason is going. I want Sanjo to go too, however, he said. Paperweight flickered. I can't change what dorm Sanjo is in. I can only access the office, he said, not having any ideas. I want to teach you something, Professor Silvestri said, walking across the parking lot toward a yellow bus that was parked at the end. Paperweight floated next to Professor Silvestri while he taught his lesson. You see, Dr. Larkspar will do anything to beat Equinox Academy. She probably wants to bring a bunch of her most experienced students. Professor Silvestri rolled under the bus. I know these guys are all tall and athletic, and the bus is long and has many seats, he lectured while working on something under the bus. Paperweight went under the bus with the professor. If the bus is disabled, how will Dr. Larkspar get to the academy? He asked, genuinely curious. Professor Silvestri tried to roll back out from under the bus quickly, but pulled a muscle. Oh, she'll have to take her car if she wants to go, he said, huffing and laying on the ground looking up at Paperweight. That plan is dependent on Dr. Larkspar not being able to find another vehicle, Paperweight said plainly. Professor Silvestri looked around the mostly vacant parking lot. I'll just break a couple windows, and no one will want to leave their cars for too long, he said, getting up and dusting himself off. As for Sanjo, that is the hard part. I want you to summon my loyal mercenary, Professor Silvestri ordered. Paperweight flickered again. You don't have any money to pay for your mercenary, he argued. Relax, I'll think of something, he said, waving away Paperweight. Together, they made their way back to Dr. Larkspar's car. Professor Silvestri knew he would be spending the next couple of hours fixing Dr. Larkspar's car. He was gambling and giving up his only bed. By the end of the school day, time was running out for Paperweight. He was looking for Sanjo, who was not in the cafeteria after school. He wasn't in the gym, and he wasn't in the socio dorms. Paperweight was ready to give up when he floated into the laundry room. Sanjo was there, folding his clothes, but deep in thought. The laundry room had other students as well. Paperweight floated over to Sanjo. Hello, Paperweight. What are you doing here? Orion asked before Sanjo could look over. Paperweight flickered. Professor Silvestri was asking if Sanjo had time to talk to him, he said, finally delivering the message. Sanjo looked up, hearing this. That's great. I really wanted to talk to him, he said, eyeing Paperweight. Paperweight bounced up and down, excited to complete this challenging administrative task. He didn't think he was tricking anyone. Sanjo sneered as he pushed his unfolded clothes into his basket quickly. He wasn't happy with Professor Silvestri and was already thinking of all the nasty things he would say to him, but he remained calm. He waved at someone else in the laundry room. Gasper, will you please take this up? I have to meet a teacher, he asked loudly so Gasper would hear him the first time. Gasper nodded, and Sanjo let Paperweight guide him to the parking lot. Sanjo pounded his fist into his hand while he walked. You know, Orion, in the courtyard I noticed something, he said to Orion, who floated closer to listen. Oh yes, those were Valencia roses, Sanjo explained. I get that those roses share a name with you, but I think that ends there, Orion said, trying to explain it away. Sanjo shook his head and frowned. No. When Silvestri is involved, then nothing is just a coincidence, he said, getting himself ready. They entered the parking lot, and Paperweight guided Sanjo to Dr. Larkspar's red sports car. Jason and a number of students were crowded around it, arguing. The companions flickered to all, apparently shouting at Dr. Larkspar, who looked stressed. There isn't enough room. Let's just take 4 players, one companion said, while another agreed. Jason left the group to talk to Sanjo, seeing him walking down the parking lot. Sanjo, we are supposed to go to another school for a game, but the bus broke down, and no one will lend Dr. Larkspar their car. Jason complained, but Sanjo looked past him. That's something, Jason. Professor Silvestri is supposed to be here, he said, annoyed that he couldn't find him. Jason shook his head. Dr. Larkspar chased him away. I wanted to talk to him too. I think he was sleeping in her car, he said. Dr. Larkspar saw Jason and Sanjo talking with that third companion and became suspicious. Children will be silent, she shouted and put her hands out like a wizard. They all went quiet, even Sanjo and Jason. Who is that? Dr. Larkspur asked. Tachita floated next to her. That is Sanjo, or Ian, and I'm certain that is Paperweight, she said. Dr. Larkspur connected the dots quickly this time. Paperweight, come here. The others stay. No one do anything until I finish talking with him, she said, eyeing Paperweight as he floated over. Hi, Doctor. How may I help you? Paperweight asked politely. Dr. Larkspur rolled her eyes, now having to have this conversation. How may I help you? She mocked. Why did you bring Sanjo here? She asked, crossing her arms. Professor Silvestri asked me to, they said together. Oh. He did, and this is the only car I can use? Dr. Larkspur said, pointing at her car. Paperweight flickered. I am unable to connect those two events together. I am bringing Sanjo to Professor Silvestri, he lied. Dr. Larkspur was furious. She wanted to stamp her feet and protest, but there was nothing she could do. Sanjo, get over here, she ordered, pushing Paperweight away. My job is to... Paperweight started to say. Shut up. You performed whatever task he had for you already. Go away, she said coldly. Dr. Larkspur motioned for everyone, including Sanjo, to gather around and blew her whistle. They all formed closely, including the companions. I'm taking the smallest players, so figure out who wants to squeeze together in my car, she said, looking at everyone. Sanjo shook his head. I'm not doing this, he said, walking away. Dr. Larkspur chased him down. Come on, Sanjo. You're one of the only players I want on the team, she said, hoping he would cooperate. Sanjo turned to look at her sternly. I don't even think you should take Jason if Professor Silvestri wants us to go, Sanjo argued, remembering the courtyard. Tachita floated between them. Would you do it for $50, Sanjo? She asked, keen to be part of the plan. Dr. Larkspur swatted Tachita away. I don't have that now, she scolded. Sanjo scratched his chin. A piece of azure is worth more than $50, he suggested. Dr. Larkspur locked eyes with him. Yeah, something is probably going to happen. I think I know what happens next, she said, thinking hard about it. I'll tell you in the car, okay? She asked, enticing Sanjo to go with her. Sanjo agreed, and Jason was very happy to have Sanjo coming along. Jason and Sanjo were the smallest, so they had to sit in the uncomfortable middle seats. Dr. Larkspur had some trouble getting everyone seated. The chairs didn't fold back properly, and there was scattered paper and garbage on the floor. The companions complained when Dr. Larkspur closed the lid of the trunk. They complained it was dark, and Dr. Larkspur laughed at them. Squeezing into the car had been difficult. Sanjo was in between Dr. Larkspur and someone he didn't want to be reminded of, the girl who defeated him when they were playing laser tag. The part that enamored Sanjo was when Dr. Larkspur started the car. The electronic panel came to life, displaying information in bright, floating indigo lighting. Sanjo liked that Dr. Larkspur revved the engine. He didn't see that she only did it because he was paying close attention. Dr. Larkspur held her head out the window to back out. The engine didn't like the extra weight and revved loudly at first. The companions could be heard rolling around in the trunk when the car set off. Jason was in between two third years, so he had to sit up straight. Dr. Larkspur looked bored, resting her arm on the door as she pulled away from the school. I know that this wasn't part of the plan, but does everyone here know Sanjo? She asked, to Sanjo's dread. Sanjo, this is Melissa, Doug, and Justin. Say hi, Sanjo, she ordered, not looking off the road. Sanjo didn't look up because he didn't want to look at Melissa, who now had a name in his mind. Hi, everyone, he said quietly. Sanjo could handle introducing himself to one person just fine. When he had to address a group at all, he wasn't himself. That's great. Now we are all friends, Dr. Larkspur said. Melissa turned and looked at Sanjo, who only glanced at her for a second. She didn't say anything. She just looked out the window. Dr. Larkspur waited for everyone to be settled. Okay, guys, listen up. I wanted to bring all 10 of you and the additional equipment. Sanjo isn't an Amigo, so we are, in fact, cheating and don't want to hear anything about it. We already had to leave most of the team behind. I still want to win, even though it's an exhibition game. She finished, locking eyes with Jason in the mirror for a moment. I want to win too, Jason said excitedly. Dr. Larkspur nodded. That's the right attitude. Did you know you're lucky your first game is at another school? She asked, trying to keep everyone talking. Yeah, that's great. Will we be playing in front of people? He asked in return. Sanjo dreaded the answer, and he was trapped in this cramped car. The situation for him kept getting worse in his mind while no one else seemed to notice. Dr. Larkspur smiled. Oh yes, lots of people show up for exhibition games. They'll probably make a bunch of first years go. Who wants to talk about strategy? She asked, and her veteran students groaned. Dr. Larkspur frowned. Yeah, well, Jason and Sanjo are new, so we're going through some things and doing a lesson anyway, she said, and everyone sat up, ready to listen, now trapped in the car with the teacher. Tachita bounced around the back and was trying to ignore Nova, who would not shut up. She tried to stay pressed against a crack in the trunk that let her see outside a bit, but every time the car slowed down, she had to roll back. Eventually, the ride was very steady, and she was losing herself watching the pavement pass by. She remembered her past more clearly than the others. In moments like this, she often wondered about her earliest memories. Professor Silvestri was dropping Tachita on the bed again. She hated it. Fly, he encouraged and tossed her lightly on the bed again. Tachita could only see in one direction and had trouble reorienting what she was looking at. Professor Silvestri picked her up and threw her on the bed again. You can do it, he encouraged. Tachita bounced a few times lightly. That's the part she hated. She couldn't see again because Professor Silvestri's hand was in the way. She wanted to do this on the floor. It didn't bounce, and it was easy to roll away when Professor Silvestri wanted to play this game again. She didn't think Professor Silvestri cared about her at all then. Even when she could fly, he always made it hard for her, throwing a heavy blanket on her or just soaking her with water to force her down when she was young. That was a long time ago, and when Tachita looked at Nova, she didn't really have to play Blanket Monster, or The Claw, or Think Fast, or Swim Stupid. She really thought about a lot in this car. She wasn't upset by her past. She was just reflecting on how she had grown up. Many beings do this while staring at the open road. The ride was taking a long time and the sun was going down. In the car, they had run through formations and strategies with Jason and Sanjo. The third years weren't talking much, and Dr. Larkspur carried most of the conversation. She was usually quiet when the radio worked, though in her mind, it worked as she recognized familiar landmarks. Jason noticed her singing lightly to herself, having to look forward most of the time. The mirror kept catching his attention. Sanjo noticed it too. Dr. Larkspur sat up in her chair, looking anxious, determined, even angry. Sanjo keenly noticed a warning sign for a zigzagging turn. He glanced back at her and saw she was trying to guess the weight of all the students in the car together. She mouthed names and carried numbers silently. This car was supposed to be fast right away. It was automatic, even though the manual version was considered definitive. This was supposed to work. She lifted the sun visor and pushed a button on the console in front of Sanjo. The button read traction control, and it was now off. Without looking, she pushed another button labeled stability management system, which was also disabled. Dr. Larkspur pushed the gas hard, and her face lit up as the sound of the car's signature turbocharger spun for the first time in what seemed like a million years. The sound was faint, but to Dr. Larkspur, it was screaming. Sanjo heard the audible whine, and everyone looked forward, feeling the sudden acceleration. He noticed the bars on the tachometer rising and briefly turning red before backing down to indigo in rhythm with the engine. Dr. Larkspur's eyes flashed like a predator. It's too fast, Sanjo cried, gripping the console as the corners approached. The blow-off valve hissed loudly, and the exhaust banged as Dr. Larkspur suddenly braked and veered the car left, then right. Sanjo was pulled closely into Melissa, while everyone in the back tried to hang on. The red sports car, guided by its front tires, let the rear tires lay down enough power to spin beyond the grip needed, becoming as light as air. The front of the car nearly touched the guardrail on the inside of the turn, and just as Sanjo thought they were going to crash, the engine revved up, and he was flung the other way, into Dr. Larkspur. The car settled as quickly as it had lost control, in one smooth motion. Dr. Larkspur had done all this and hardly turned the wheel at all. She accelerated again and let off the gas to hear the exhaust bang. She sighed like she'd had a big drink of water on a hot day. Sanjo, sitting up front, looked at her wide-eyed. He was the most terrified. Everyone in the back thought something had gone wrong. Dr. Larkspar looked at Sanjo. "I used to come out here and do that all the time," she said. Jason, still trying to get centered and fighting for a bit of legroom, said, "That was so scary." He met his teacher's green eyes in the mirror and had a sudden flash within his memory. He saw her smiling and laughing while lights whizzed past. Then the memory faded away. "Green," he said quietly. The third years didn't bother to scold Dr. Larkspar for scaring them. Sanjo, however, had a different opinion. "That was really dangerous, I think," he said, doubting his teacher knew what she was doing. Dr. Larkspar was happy and didn't care if Sanjo protested. She was driving. "You know, Sanjo, I used to do lots of stupid things in my car," she said, playing with the throttle to keep his attention. Jason leaned over Sanjo's shoulder, sick of the people he shared the back seat with, and eager to listen. It didn't take him long to figure out how to loosen his belt. "I never had a car like this. I never did anything like that before," Sanjo said, focusing a little on the road. "That's because I control the car," Dr. Larkspar explained. "You aren't used to making your own mistakes. Actually, I crashed a few cars. My boyfriend bought me this one without asking what I thought. I almost crashed it the first day doing just what we did." She laughed. Jason was curious. "Who's your boyfriend?" he asked. The sun was down by now, and Dr. Larkspar had turned on the headlights. "You two can probably guess who bought me this car. He's not my boyfriend anymore. We just work together," she said, thinking back. "The professor," Jason said, prompting Dr. Larkspar to glance at him. Sanjo was curious too. Sanjo was trying to find the right words to ask. "What happened?" Dr. Larkspar cut him off. "We were young and thought we could take on the whole world. We did. We changed everything. We changed the way everyone saw the world. In doing so, everyone saw what we did differently. When we did it again, we had to run away," she explained. Sanjo interrupted. "What did you do that changed the world?" "What?" "Shut up, kid. I'm telling the story," she said, pushing him up against Melissa, who pushed him back to the middle. "You're too close," Dr. Larkspar said. Then she smiled and continued. "When we had to run away, I took on an army by myself, and when I did, I took something away from Professor Silvestri and Infrenza," she finished. "Azure." Jason gasped. "That's right," she nodded. She was so close to Infrenza because he was different, and she was the same as him. She was remembering her deepest thoughts. "I don't know where she came from, but Professor Silvestri insisted she was hurt and that we should help her. I thought I knew what she was because we had already created the E's and Yens. We thought we were smart." She was about to go on, but Sanjo looked displeased. "You're being vague," Sanjo complained, crossing his arms. Dr. Larkspar braked suddenly, making Sanjo grab the center console again. "I told you, this is my story. Don't you want to know how to complete the program?" she asked Sanjo and Jason, while the veteran students ignored her. Jason shushed Sanjo. "I split the sky open again, but something happened, and I thought that Azure was gone forever. As the smoke cleared, we had to leave Infrenza behind. I knew he was devastated, but I got into this car with the rest of my family and drove away," she finished. Jason had his mouth wide open. Sanjo still wasn't impressed. "When was this? Where was this? What happened?" Sanjo protested, but Dr. Larkspar just laughed. In the darkness, they could see a procession of lights guiding them to Equinox Academy. Dr. Larkspar pushed hard on the gas, knowing it was a straight line the rest of the way.
I saw only one way and he soaked me to silence thrown. Caged in cotton, I wasn't meant to be folded, wasn't meant